Okay, good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So we have as with all our sessions, we have a slightly packed session, and we're going to try and stick to the time. So I'll get started. Um, so for those of you who are first timers, I'm Ramya Modukuri, and on the next screen is Sapna, and we really should remember to rename ourselves on these. I will do it while she's speaking, she'll do it while I'm speaking. But we both are have been college and career counselors at schools for almost a decade now. And, we started guiding teens as really a community for parents. And having been, and I'm a parent of three teens, Sapna is a parent of two late teens, late age teens. We've seen how painful this whole process of planning their future can be. So this is our attempt to, help you out to help your child make better choices for their future. So today's session is about helping your teen make the most of summer. So we'll give you an overview of what options are available, what they can do. And then the second part is just, there is really a wide variety of choices these days. So what are the factors you need to consider? How do you go about making that choice? Both objective criteria as well as maybe some subjective things to think about. And then, how does that fit into your story and case studies? Um, so in terms of the types of summer opportunities, I'm just gonna put this up here. Oh, sorry. Okay, so these are some of the broad options that are available in terms of university programs. And we will be walking you through the resource, the spreadsheet at the end, and we are continuing to add to it. So in another, week or 10 days, there will be even more opportunities in there than there are at present. But for those of you who have joined new, you probably don't have the link yet, and we'll share it after this session on the WhatsApp group. If you haven't joined our WhatsApp community, we'll keep the QR code at the end and you can do so. Okay, so the types of programs, there are university programs, and in the past, till about 5-6 years ago, the majority of pre-college university programs available to high school students in India was mainly outside of India. But the new private Indian universities and increasingly even the IITs have begun to offer summer programs for high school students. And so in our spreadsheet, we have 35 plus programs and more are being added every year. Even maybe 3-4 years ago, there were about 15 or 16. And so it's really, sorry, this is very sensitive to the marks.
I'm sorry, but are you guys only referring India or
No, can we
like
hold
any?
the questions to the end? No, we right now we're referring to India, but the the spreadsheet has non-Indian programs as well. So if you could keep the questions to the end, we'll just go through it and then, I promise a lot of these sessions run quite long because we have a lot of discussion afterwards. Okay, so most of the Indian summer programs are around 2 weeks long. The cost range is somewhere in the range of 30 to 50,000, and some of them go a little higher. And some of them are free, like the Lodha Genius program, for which the deadline has passed, but that we did share in our WhatsApp community. The foreign university programs, the ones we've included in our spreadsheet right now, are the ones that align more with our Indian school summers. So a lot of foreign programs, unfortunately, do happen in July, August, which for most of the Western world is summer. And for most Indian schools, even IB schools, a lot of them reopen at the beginning of July. So for now, we've only included June, but we have been getting some requests from our parents in the Middle East and so on. So we may add to those, as we see fit.
Ramya, I also want to add here that the resource itself has both international and Indian, and the webinar today we are covering how you should be choosing the program. So that is country neutral. It doesn't matter which country you are from or where you're looking at.
Correct. Yeah,
It's more about
absolutely.
how to select programs, which is same regardless of which
Yes.
country you're
So
in.
I'm just going to run through the slide because, we will be showing you the resource. This is just to give you an overview. In terms of non-university programs, these include programs by organizations like ISRO, Brain Behavior Research, Raising a Mathematician, and some other sort of, both for-profit and non-profit organizations. Internships, again, we've included opportunities where there are providers who, you can pay a certain amount and they, set you up with an internship. And, we can go through that a bit in the resource, or you can browse those links and figure out how it works. But also, one option for you guys is to find your own internships. And in fact, for our schools, we have laid out some learning outcomes that you can give to, because a lot of times if you approach, a friend who is a manager at, let's say, Amazon, they may not know what to give a high school student, or what an internship for a high school student even looks like, right? So we have come up with some guidelines that you can share with people like that, so that it can be a productive, experience for you and not as frustrating for them as well. But we can talk a bit more about that in the discussion part of it. Then there are, of course, there's volunteering, which we won't go into. It's like more straightforward, but there are companies that help you, sort of help set you up with social impact projects and things like that. Courses, plenty of MOOCs, so Coursera and other platforms, you can do online courses. Actually, very common way for students to show depth in the program, in the subject of interest. There are competitions. This is one thing we have not yet included in our spreadsheet. But we will be restarting our newsletter, which we send every month, and that usually does have the list of competitions with upcoming deadlines and so on. So we will be resuming that. We've taken a bit of a break during the winter. And then projects, it's something you can do on your own, but also there are companies that can help you if you have an idea for an app or a prototype or a product. They can help you build that out or scale it up, or just take it to fruition. So plenty of options. And then, of course, not everything has to be formal, right? We are big believers that you don't have to break the bank to have a productive summer. And also, to some of our students who have even got into things like Ivy Leagues, they have, I mean, we both run pretty sort of low budget, philosophy offices. And so we are not fans that everything needs to be paid for. So there are great ways to just deepen your interest. Reading is one, read beyond your comfort zone, read strategically. In fact, a few years ago, when the Brown admissions officer came, she said, it's really a shame how kids don't think of that, of reading as a strong extracurricular. And you watch, any of these really selective university admissions officers, and they all bemoan the fact that kids today just aren't reading much. So reading is one. Teaching somebody something. It doesn't have to be going and teaching at a government school all the time. You could just tutor your younger sibling, or, somebody in your community, and that is valuable too. Create something, right? A piece of art, an app, just a model of something. Especially our design students, often, they, by the end of summer, they've created so many interesting things, whether that is a little sculpture, or clothing, or whatever it is. So creating is something. And then don't forget, you all have interests, or you're, sorry, I keep thinking of talking to parents, but I know we have a mix of parents and students, but your kids will have natural interests already, right? Music, sports, whatever they're already doing. Let them use the summer to deepen their interest. That counts too. Sometimes kids come to 11th grade and they're like, oh, Trinity doesn't matter. Maybe it's not the most differentiated extracurricular, but the sense of achievement you'll feel if you finish that diploma is tremendous. And then, family travel, because like we said in our headline, we don't want to kill all the joy out of summer. Travel can be very interesting. So I know many of you plan family travel with your kids. And even if that's the only thing that the child does during the summer, it can be a productive learning moment, right? So if you go to even a different city, you're like, even if you're a South Indian, if you go up north to a city, beforehand, have them research something about the history, the culture, the people, politics of the place based on their interests, right? And then during, so it's not just about, obviously, taking photos of monuments, which are also, I mean, we all do that. That's fine. But also have them note down things that are interesting, to really observe the little things, right? What are things that are different in this place from your hometown? What is similar? Do people behave differently? Is their food pattern different? there's so much you can observe. And, afterwards, and this is really where, you know, so especially, and we're not harping on the US, but this kind of stuff does tend to be a little more important in US universities. But a lot of times, when you're writing that Common App essay or like writing some of your supplemental essays, you won't believe the kind of things that come out of these little observations of your daily life or when you travel, right? Things around even how you are different in a different place, or how your family behaves when you go on vacation. So whether you're a design student or a student of sustainability or STEM or, psychology, there are so many things you can observe and you can reflect on after your travels. Just make sure you note them down because these are fleeting and they will pass, but they can be really interesting things to build your essays and, even maybe some of your post-travel extracurriculars on. And with that, I'll hand it over to Sapna to take us to the next part.
Hi. So I think the key question that we really wanted to cover today is how do you choose or how do you help your teen choose uh, what what to do with the summer, right? And that is what we want to spend the bulk of time today doing. So the first,
Is it me or is it Sapna who's frozen?
do we know where we are going to college? Do we know, or are we just like, so one, what grade are we in right now? Is it seventh? Is it eighth? Is it ninth? Is it 10th, 11th, 12th? Because the purpose will differ in each grade and we'll go through that a bit. Then the second thing is, do we know which country do we want to go to college in? Because a lot of the profile building that we talk about for college admissions, it varies from country to country. With certain countries, like for instance, India, the traditional colleges, you may not even need to do anything extra in the summer. All you need to do is do well in your exams. So the country that you want to apply to, and then of course, what kind of a major are you looking at? Is there clarity there? Is there not clarity there? So there are a lot of the purpose question has a lot of factors. Then of course, the child's interest is very important because we are firm believers that you should not be making the child do anything that they don't really enjoy or that they don't really like because even if they get a certificate out of it, it will be of no use because the colleges will read right through it and there will be no actual gain in their understanding or their likability. What they won't enjoy, they won't do anything with it. Then the other factors, of course, are whether the child is eligible for it, what's the cost. There is a concept of pay to play. Very expensive programs sometimes may not be considered very uh, positively. I mean, they may be disregarded as what is a better way of saying it in the college application process because most admission officers do understand that if it's a pay to play program, unless the child can show something concrete that they did out of it, that they understood out of it, that's the gain. Just doing the program itself is not important. So just saying I attended so and so program is not of that much value unless the child can qualify what they gained out of it and then they can do something productive with it in their actual lives. So the cost of the program does become an important factor when you're considering it. Don't do anything which is very expensive if you can't afford to. The mode of delivery, whether it should be online or in person, depends on the child, whether your child takes well to the online programs or not. Also, the experience varies. In the mode of delivery, we also want to say in terms of location. For some of you, that may be important where the program is located, and those are all fair factors to keep into mind. Do not. I think what we are trying to say is that do do not feel compelled to do something as and think of it as a ticket to get into a particular college, especially if a program is being held by slight but competitive universities. So supposing it has a big Ivy League name on it, doesn't mean that by doing that you will get admission into that Ivy League or into that college. So that is something to keep in mind. Dates and timings, of course, always keep that in mind. We don't think attending any program is worth missing your school for. Your school always comes first. Um, So keep that in mind. And then selectivity. So within the programs, especially when you're looking at, at doing a program from the perspective of it being looking good on your profile for college admissions, selectivity does matter. So there are certain programs which you can just pay and get in, and there's no problem with that, but they are less selective. And then there are programs which are more selective, in which there are certain filters in place. They have certain processes. It could be your academic scores, it could be essays, it could be interviews, it could be a performance in a particular exam. So the selectivity is in play, and those programs are seen as being more and will have more weight when you're looking at it from the perspective of a college admission per se. Ramya, anything you want to add to that? Okay. From the purpose, let's talk about one of the main things, which is destination. So when we look at destinations, we mean, like I mentioned earlier, like in India, supposing you are looking at, say, an admission into an IIT, summer programs per se are not of much use unless they're used to help the child understand whether they're right for an engineering program or what kind of an engineering program would they like to go for. So, so the purpose is not as such application to college. It does not help. When you're looking at private colleges in India, yes, it would. Some colleges may consider certain activities that you've done in summer. There may be some space to show that in your application. US looks at your application more comprehensively. So of course, any activity that you've done in summer, you definitely have a space to showcase it, to show what you did, what impact it made, what did you learn in that activity. So there's some scope in the US application to show that. In a UK application, largely it is about what we call supercurriculars, which basically means that they're looking at activities which are around academics and around your subject of interest. So if you want to get into law, then they're looking at activities which are around law. So it could be programs, it could be some reading, it could be a shadowing experience with the lawyer. So that's how UK looks at extra activities that you do during the summers. And there's not much scope for showing a lot of them. So it has to be very specific academic related activities. And so on and so forth. So Europe pretty much follows the UK pattern, and US stands alone in a more holistic application. So the destination does play a role in the kind of summer activities that you pick. Then, of course, your major or degree. So, which major or which degree are you looking at? This is towards the last 2 or 3 years. If you have clarity, that can help you decide what kind of summer programs to pick. If there is no clarity, then of course I mean, you could pick a summer program which will help you become clearer about what is it that you want to study. And there are programs like that that help you explore many subjects or give you a more broader exploration possibility so that you can clarify. Or if you already know what is it, or your child already knows that I'm interested in this area, then you could go deeper into that area. So these are some of the factors that you would again consider when you pick your summer activity.
I just want to add that so we had done a few months ago a very in-depth session on authentic profile building.
Yeah.
The video is on our YouTube channel, which we will put it on the chat, but everything is embedded on our website, which is www.guidingteens.in. But we would recommend, ahead of making these choices for the summer, please do watch that. We go into a lot of depth in that about what different regions look for, how it manifests in the application, what the application actually asks you for. Because at the end of the day, all your 4 years of work, that's what the admissions officer sees, right? So, and we've gone into a lot of detail, like based on your interest, what all you can do, right? So we would recommend watching that before making, I mean, if you want more help before making a decision.
Right. Then once you've looked at the purpose and the interest, some of the other questions that you can think of. So, does your child want to get a deeper knowledge in a particular subject? Do they want to experience life in a particular college or in in a kind of college. So supposing I want to experience what a US college feels like, or what a UK college feels like, something like that. Do they want to get any hands-on experience in a particular field, say robotics? It could be almost any field. It could be engineering, it could be robotics, it could be cybersecurity. So any of these fields, design, music. So it could be many kinds of that. Do they want to strengthen their profile? And by strengthen their profile, of course, we would request you to go back to the profile building session that Ramya mentioned, because there we have kind of uh, explained what we mean by profile and how it's looked at in different regions in different colleges. By strengthening profile, of course, then you have to kind of see exactly what is it that you're looking for, where's the gap, and what you need to fill. Then they could also be just to gain valuable skills. Right now, the phase that we are in, almost everybody, the question they're asking is, what are the skills that you have? So do you know Python? I mean, is there anything that you know that is concrete, definable, sureable? And this could be very much done during summer holidays outside of the curriculum, right? It could be a language, it could be just writing academic papers, so it could be a lot of different things, and it could be photography, it could be a lot of stuff. And then, of course, feel a sense of achievement, because it's also a summer activity could also help a child really feel that they've gained something, they've learned something, have a good positive experience staying out of home, because for several kids this may be the first time that they're ever getting out of house. So it could also serve like a little exploration in that sense, which will again help you decide later whether they're ready for a college very far away, closer to home, stuff like that. Rami, you want to add anything?
No, I think, it, yeah, I think.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Um, these are some broad timelines. Now, of course, uh, these are very, very broad, and they may or may not apply. So, for every child, it is literally a clinical process where we go by this. But broadly speaking, eighth and ninth could be left for exploring of interests, exploring of what is it that really I enjoy doing. Sometimes for some kids, it's also that I already think I want to do this, but then getting a more concrete experience of that. It could be about skill development. I love music, love theater, I love dancing, I love a sport, whatever it is. They could spend some more time developing those skills. Getting college or country exposure could be a great time. Getting unique experiences, and there are some very unique, fun things that children can do. Travel through Ladakh, do really, really fun stuff. Summit a small peak with a group of similar aged people. So there's a lot of fun stuff that can be done. So eighth and ninth could be reserved for that. In 10th holidays, usually most of us do say that if you're looking at studying abroad, especially if the SAT is in question, it's a good time to get your SAT done. And then if you're looking at Indian colleges, we're looking at engineering exams and stuff, it may be a good time to start with those. Career exploration again. So depending, of course, again on your purpose, right? So you could spend 10th on either test prep, career exploration, again, getting yourself exposed to a college or a country, deeper engagement with subjects. So this we felt very strongly about that after 10th is when most kids are selecting their subjects, and many of them go into it very, very blindly, because they've really not ever tackled many of the subjects that they now have access to, say economics, psychology, stuff like that. And many of them go into it just with an idea what the subject is going to be about. And 10th holidays may be a great time to explore some of these subjects in more detail, read about them, maybe take a Coursera course, online course, maybe take a university program on them, any of this thing. And then 11th is really the time when you are closing gaps, when you're doing, okay, this is where I'm applying, so this is what I need to also do, kind of just checkboxing at the end of it. And also, this is the last, this is if you are appearing for If you're going to apply to UK, this is the time when you get your UK test prep done. If there are entrance tests to be taken at that time. Again, India, there's test prep to be done. In US, if you're going to be taking the AP exams, this is the time to do them. So there is a lot of that concrete kind of work to be done. And then, of course, you have to do research to figure out which colleges, which degrees, and building your list and doing your application, actual application work in the 11th holiday. So that's a broad thing. But again, this varies from child to child, and this is just a broad guideline. Let's go on. You want to add something?
No, I think I'll keep it for the end. I just want to say, especially 11th, what is interesting is if you're in the summer between 11th and 12th, like one thing that I think I used to enjoy doing in school is having my students write an SOP somewhere around December, Jan of 10th grade. And that even when you're a student who's put in, some amount of work into profile building, and let's say you're targeting US and UK, writing that statement of purpose, even as simple as saying, why do you want to study this major? Writing that really brings out the gaps, right? So when we said earlier, fill your gaps in your profile, that is one great way to identify your gap. Like if you're writing, I love economics, but you can't really articulate why or what you've done outside of your classroom to do that. The summer is your sort of excellent opportunity if you are someone going from 11th and 12th to plug in those
And
gaps.
in the profile building session, we have given a sample SOP and shown how that works with the profile building activities that you've done. So please go and refer to that. Rami, are you taking this? Should I be taking this one?
I can take it. You poor thing. Like, I've given you a bulk of the stuff today to talk about. So, really, the previous slide we talked about, from a grade standpoint, but even, whatever starting point, because sometimes we do have students coming to us after 10th and saying that, okay, I want to apply to the US and I really want to target some really selective universities. Wherever you start, the idea with, at least with profile building, and even when, you have just these 2 summers between 10th and 11th and maybe 11th and 12th, start with, exploration in the earlier years or the earlier summers. And it's about, finding that breadth and then over time, picking one or two and going deeper into it. I think this slide might be a little confusing, but this is what, we showed our kids in school that, if you think of it as a sort of T model, right? So the earlier grades, 8, 9, and I would say sometimes even 10th, depending on when you start, everybody has a different starting point. It's about exploring a multitude of things in those grades. So a little exposure to coding, a little exposure to debate, a little exposure to writing, a little exposure to creative fields, a little exposure to like the business world, right? Maybe through some of these like innovation challenges or case competitions or whatever. And then once the child has had that broad exposure and, hopefully has found one or two things that they really want to dig deeper into, by 10th, and definitely by 11th. 11th is a wonderful time because one is they have seriously more skills in 11th compared to, let's say, 9th. Because, especially if you look at STEM fields, by 11th, they've done some serious bit of math and sciences, and their maturity is much higher. Their seriousness about college is much better, much greater. And so, 10th and 11th, or even going into, midway to your 12th, those are great times to add on that depth. So some ways, this is just one example. So let's say, the student has these interests in 8th and 9th that they have done some music, some sports, some coding, some drama. And even if they take, two things, going deeper could look something like what we've shown here in coding. You can go deeper by learning more languages, coding an app, participating in hackathons, things like that. In sports, we take sports as so much as oh, everyone does it kind of thing. But there's seriously like that can be a really rich part of your application, right? So showing leadership by, making it to the school team. And sure, that happens not in the summer, but summer is a great time to amp up your practice, right? Maybe you go to some of these specialized academies or coaching centers during the summer and you really sort of take your sport to the next level. or you do a research project that combines the sport with some other area of academic interest. It's a great time also to use that as a way to engage in some social impact component, right? Maybe holding a football camp or I think someone will say combine football and coding. Yeah, you could do seriously fun stuff, building an app to, I don't know, to what do you call it, analyze your cake or whatever. Sorry, not a sports person, but you get the gist, right? Okay, so this is something that we had covered in our profile building session, but we'll go through it again just to give you a sense, right? Now, we just took one example of computer science, and this is in the US, and the next slide shows UK. And so this is, three different students who ended up at three different sort of tiers of selectivity in the US. And this is sort of what their profile looked like. And the highlighted things are really things that they did that they really amped up during the summer, right? So the student who went to Cornell, so at the time, there was this fellowship, which has been discontinued now, unfortunately. But a lot of the sort of work and the proof that they asked in terms of things that he had implemented, a lot of that work took place in the summers between 9th and 10th and 10th and 11th. 11th is when he actually applied for the fellowship, and it went through like some 3 or 4 rounds and multiple selections. And that's when, all the selection happened. But the groundwork for it was really laid in the summers before that. And then similarly, back then IIT Madras was holding this really selective 6-week free program. And he got selected. He was one of only 35 selected across India. And he did in the summer between actually 11th and 12th. And then, of course, all of these kids, which are underlined at the bottom, like, they do start with some of these. I think Kanika had asked on our chat, like, a lot of kids start with these basic sort of coding courses in 10th grade in the summer between, either 9th and 10th or 10th. 9th and 10th is preferable because, then you can really start adding on deeper levels in the summers between 10th and 11th and 11th and 12th. And then the other student who is right now at Purdue, so a lot of so even the 6-month-long research project that he found through his parent, it started out as a summer, project, and then it just continued for the rest of throughout for the next few months. And then his second internship, the AI firm was in the summer between 11th and 12th, because that's really, like we said, and this kid had done the CS50 course. He had done the Berkeley course, which takes a good 6 to 8 months to complete. And these really give them the confidence that when they go into an internship, that they can also contribute rather than, most of the time, they won't be contributing that much because, these are really serious companies with people who have done their masters in this field. So it's going to be hard, but to the extent they can, at least they don't feel completely lost if they're doing it in the slightly later grades. And then there was a research project through one of the providers we mentioned in our spreadsheet, on this AI ML product to predict stock tampering in small cap market stocks. And then some of these, this kid actually did the entire diploma in Trinity Speech and Drama, but a lot of that really was done during the summers. And then the students see, honestly, like I can't remember. I'm sure he did a lot of stuff during the summer, but it was generally a slightly weaker profile. Our point here was at that time in the profile building session also to show that all of them ended up at fantastic universities. And by the way, students use a student of mine is now doing his master's at Cornell. So life is long, their journey is long. So even though they may not have he may not have ended up in one of these so-called top 30 or whatever. It's a long journey. Similarly for UK, as Sapna said earlier, they look a lot at your academic related extracurriculars. And this is again, these are two students who both had excellent outcomes for the UK. And, one applied for CS, one applied for economics, but really some of the stuff that they did, it was done, during their last couple of summers. So, just some examples of using the summer.
I wanted to add in the previous thing that we did not highlight SAT scores and AP scores and stuff in summers, but literally that's also done in
Oh,
summer.
yeah, true, true. Actually, that's true. I think the
Keep
highlighting
that
needs
in
some
mind.
work.
Yeah,
But
most of that is summer. So
yeah.
also, I think sometimes we have a tendency as parents to push too much. If
Mm.
we are the tiger mom, tiger dad types, let's keep it in mind that the kids have already a lot going on. So we need to be a little judicious about this.
So, some questions to ask yourself or to sit with your child and ask, right, is um, so what is my roadmap to college? If you guys haven't made a roadmap, you should make a roadmap. Whether that's India, even if it's IIT, I assume, I don't know, I don't even know how many parents here who have joined us whose kids are in the IIT, JEE, CLAT, CUET route. But even that needs a roadmap, right? And where is your child at that stage of the journey? Sorry, what stage of the journey is the child at this stage, at every stage of your journey, what is it that you absolutely need to do this summer? So I think we talked about how, if you're applying to the US, your summer between 10th and 11th should be, at least a part of it should be spent on test prep because it is becoming at least the most selective, all the Ivy Leagues are mandating it at this point. And many will start to see that shift, I assume. But doing proper prep during the summer and getting that over at the beginning of 11th grade is such a relief, right? Because then even if you do need to retake it once or twice, it gives you more time to do it without the stress of being in 12th grade, trying to retake it and all that stuff. Um, Also, bridging some sort of learning gap. Both of us work in multi-curriculum schools, and when children switch from one board to another, there is invariably a learning gap, right? And so summer is a good time because you don't want them getting into 11th where regardless of the curriculum, it's a huge step up in intensity. And so, identifying those gaps, sitting with the teachers, if you're shifting to a new school, get ahead of the game, meet with the coordinators, the teachers in the new school, and go through the syllabus and see what topics need prerequisites that they can do during the summer. And if that's all your child does over the summer, that is fine. Like, we are big believers that none of this should really come at the cost of academics and comfort, right? And this is what Sapna said earlier, there are some US programs that happen in July, and sometimes people be like, should we miss 2 weeks, 3 weeks of school? It's a personal thing, I mean, there are some counselor friends who are amazing counselors who will say, you know what, some of these programs are absolutely worth it, go miss school. But I also know as a parent, you will know how stressed your child gets when they have to miss 2 weeks of school and catch up. Every child is different and you know your child best. So my point is, let's set them up for success as they start 11th. Especially these are more critical for going from 10th to 11th, right? New subject exploration. I think I'm going through this as a parent, and I've had students who, they'll come to 11th and they're like, I don't know whether I should take economics or psychology, not having been exposed to either. Summer is a great time to maybe do that stuff. What are the gaps in my profile? Like we said, one way to identify that if you don't necessarily have a counselor or a consultant is to just write that, SOP or write that answer to that question. Why do I want to study this? And then see how that answer looks. If it just says generic things like every other child can write, like, oh, I want to do AI because it's the future of the world. It is, so many things. It's creative. It's this possibility. None of that is personal, right? But saying I want to do AI because, my interest in it built over time by doing this, this, and this, that is a much more like that's a stronger story, right? And then for US students, because your application is holistic, asking yourself, what are three, like think of it as you're the product, what is your unique selling point, right? What are those three things after reading your application, the admissions officer says, okay, this kid is a poet quant or whatever, right? Like, or a sustainability nerd, or a teacher at heart, or whatever it is, right? What do you want to highlight in your application beyond your academics, and how can you use the summer to build those? So it's very important that you sit, especially if you're doing US, if you're applying to the US, what is your story, right? And how do you want to build on that? And then don't forget, right? Even for kids, and I'm sorry, the numbering on the slide is insane. I didn't notice that. Um, the even if your child goes down the CLAT, CUET, JEE, NEET route, please understand personal development is, it is required, it is mandatory. Not everything is about getting into college. Because if you do talk to these kids who are at IITs, by the way, I have a close friend's son who's at IIT Mumbai right now, and starting in first year, like first semester of first year, the stress starts to build up for finding internships. And that has, this is IIT Mumbai, CS or whatever we're talking about. Every kid has the ability, but what ultimately differentiates a lot of them are these things around skills, right? Are you good at are you good at teamwork? Are you good at communication? Are you good at problem solving, critical thinking? And while we assume that if you've got into IIT, your critical thinking skills must be off the charts, not always true. It's a skill that needs to be built, right? So,
Um, can you cook for yourself? Can you keep your
oh yeah,
cupboard
life
clean? Can you
skills too,
organize your
right?
timetable? Can you take notes?
Oh yeah,
So
true.
there's a lot in skills, not
Yeah,
only academics and stuff.
yeah. It's such a good point. And by the way, true for kids who have graduated 12th and you want to do something for this summer, learn how to cook, learn how to manage your finances. These are things that will really come in handy. And then when evaluating individual programs, right? Um, so this can be tricky because when you're looking at two options, and honestly, right now, other than asking maybe on the community, asking other parents, it can be hard to gauge, it can be hard to get feedback on a program. Um, but the question to ask is really, is the program or activity worth the time, effort, and money? And somewhere only you can decide that too. I mean, yes, the quality of the program, maybe by polling enough people in your communities or in your school, you can get a sense. But whether it's worth it for you depends on the factors we discussed earlier, right? What is worth for one kid may not be worth for another kid, and depends on your family situation, circumstances. The other day I was talking to a parent who said, "Oh, it's only 2 lakhs, it's fine." But then I know in the school I used to work at, 2 lakhs is a huge deal. Like, most parents would scoff at it and say, forget it, I'm not sending somebody for a 2 week trip, for 2 lakhs. So it really depends. Um, and then I think the rest we had sort of, talked about, but really intentionality is key. I think asking yourself these questions and going into it, knowing the answers to these, right? So, Sapna, do you want to? Oh, you know what? I think I have the share. Do you want to share the screen? Shall I stop sharing?
Good. Okay, just give me a minute to figure this out.
Do you want me to just share? I think I have it. Okay, you have
I
it.
have it here.
But those of you who are seeing the QR code, you can open it and it takes you right in.
Is it visible?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. All right. Why is it not showing? Why is it not moving the tab? Yeah, okay. So we have divided this particular resource into several tabs, as you can see. The first tab that we've kept is university programs that are being offered by universities in India. There's one being offered, so you can go through the list. Basically, Ahmedabad University, Amity. Amity is doing they have a really vast list of programs that they're offering, very subject oriented. Somebody asked about cybersecurity in the chat. Amity is offering it. Ashoka runs some wonderful programs. They run two kinds of programs. One kind is a more generic program, it's more exploratory, very good for the younger kids, grade 9th, 8th, to kind of ask the bigger questions about what is it that they want to do. And then now they've also started some very interesting subject specific programs. Somebody asked about finance, they do have one in that. So those are the two kinds of programs, the Young Scholars program, which is for the younger kids, the Horizons program, which is more specific and more subject intensive. And they have several on offer in both. Then there's the Atlas Skill Tech University, which offers some very interesting programs again, design, those kind of very hands-on kind of programs that they offer. Then there is the Brain Behavior Research Foundation of India, which is offering a counseling and clinical psychology program. There's Equal Intuit Lab, again, another program in digital design, animation, creative industries. Flame University. Flame University offers another very interesting summer immersion program, which is basically, so Flame is a liberal arts university, so it does offer the kids a more broader understanding of what you can do with various subjects. So very interesting again for the younger kids or for kids who are not very clear on what subject track they should be taking. Future School of Performing Arts, a very interesting program in music production. Um, you can check them out. And performing arts. Then there's Indian School of Hospitality, which is offering a program in hospitality, business, culinary business, and stuff like that. Kriya University offers several. Should I go through them one by one, or should I? Do we have the time?
I think we'll leave some time. It's 6:15.
Okay.
I
So,
think they get the idea, maybe.
yeah, so you can just kind of look at this. Masters Union, for somebody who's asking about finance, business, they offer some programs hands-on. Plaksha, STEM programs, very interesting ones. They're offering three tracks: robotics, bio, and this thing, bio beyond medicine, and then economics and data. Shivnadar University, SPJ. And so you can see all of this, and the details are given here. We've given links that you can kind of refer to. The ISRO program, I think 2026, they've not yet
So
taken it.
the gray ones haven't been updated for this year, or we will keep watching, looking out for them. These were all available last year, the gray ones. So
Yeah, and they're going to be available this year too, but
yeah,
they've
ISRO
not
one comes
done
out in
the.
mid-Feb, I believe. So
Yeah.
it should be out now. I don't know. I'll
Right.
check. We'll check.
OP Jindal is, I just confirmed today they're not doing their program this year, so that's out. We'll remove it.
Yeah,
But
no.
the others, yes, we will update it as we go along. The foreign summer programs there was somebody in the beginning who was asking about it. We have made a listing here. And as Ramya said, we'll keep adding as they come along. We've given you the organization name and the dates and also links. Um, there is the experiential learning where we've kind of done a few kinds. So there are those that offer. So internship, in our opinion, mostly for the younger kids, for high school kids, are more like career immersions. Many of these are what we would call virtual career immersions. So they have like case study kind of stuff that is already pre-recorded that the child can get into, watch, do some activities, finish some assignments, and get a basic hang of maybe what that kind of work is going to look like in the future. So those are career immersions. Then you have internship and research projects, companies that are doing that. There are companies that are doing more general career exploration. So Inner Campus Village does some very interesting career explorations and immersion programs there. There are those that do tech projects, so maker projects, and we've given you a whole list of those. There is the entrepreneurship development, which is doing summer camps in entrepreneurship. Again, the details of 2026 are still awaited. Yeah, and these two we already talked about. This academic and research programs, which we've kind of listed a few. There are many, many more. This is not an exhaustive list by any means, but these are some that we have sent students to that we've got decent feedback about. So we are sharing those with you. These are research and academic programs. For community engagement, these are two companies that do some very interesting work around it. There are many more. And in case you guys know anything specific that you would, that you've kind of seen, that you've kind of experienced, that you would vouch for, please let us know and we will add them. But as I said, there are many, many more. These are just some that we feel comfortable sharing that we've had positive experiences with. Rami, we can move on.
Um, you're sharing it, I think.
Oh, I'm sharing. I'm stop sharing.
No, I think that was the end of the session, really. I will put up the QR code for the resource. And yeah, with that, we're open to questions.
Questions. Rami, you should show that grow wala, that slide.
Oh, yes. Sorry, 1 second. I am trying to go back to my presentation. Uh,
Yeah, if
can you
anybody
guys
has
see
any
this?
questions.
Okay, so the QR code, and by the way, please, we will put, so I'll go back to the QR code in a second, but what we also, this is something, it just resonated with both of us that, when you think of the summer, every child's summer looks so different and, and it's all growth, right? Like we said earlier, whether they're simply learning a bridging a learning gap, or whether they're building a new skill or tackling a problem or doing, some sort of social impact work, or just reading, right? Which really is such a valuable skill, but it's all growth. So not every child's growth will look the same. And also, just because somebody got into an Ivy League, you can't replicate that entire trajectory with your own child. And so this was something we just wanted to.
Yeah, and I would like to add a note about community engagement and volunteering. I had a child recently who she had a really ill grandmother at home, and out of choice, she just liked to spend time with her, and that's what she did consistently over the summer. Just looked after her grandmother, gave her a bath every day, made her eat her meals, and I think that itself was a wonderful, beautiful story that showed volunteering, community engagement much better than any project could have done. So there's a lot of space also for personal stuff that you can do, and I think some of that makes the gets the best learning, gets the most fulfilled child, and also makes the best stories to tell to a college.
So
Yes.
with that, we'll open it up for questions, comments, discussion, sharing your experiences of some of these programs, if relevant. We'll stop the share so it's a little conversation.
Hi, my name is Diana and I'm a 12th grader. And I just want to I was here late. I'm sorry I was out and couldn't join. And I wanted to ask if a good way to split your summer up is by fives. I'm from the US and there's an average of 10 weeks of summer holidays. The first and last 2 weeks we would keep for ourselves to kind of rest. 2 weeks of it is for volunteering. Another 2 weeks of it is for internships. Another 2 weeks is for like yeah. Another 2 weeks of it was for like getting back to school and everything.
I
And
love the way you've divided it. So really, Elena, did you say?
Diana.
Ilya, okay. Yeah, you can divide it any way you like. So if this division works for you, great. You don't have to do everything also. I mean, if you need more time, say for the internship or one of the things, you can take more time over that. It really it is how you're going to do it.
mm,
Uh, Definitely keep some time to take a break. You need that. You deserve it. 12th is going to be really busy and there's going
oh,
to be a lot of work. So whatever time you need to recuperate, take it easy, mad watch some serial that you've been kind of pushing off, whatever it is that you need to do, please get it done. Um, in 12th, and I'll let Ramya also fill in whatever she wants to, but when you're looking at 12th, you really have to be very specific. So do you know which country you're applying to, which colleges are you applying to, and what major are you applying to?
uh
Uh, Yeah.
oh, sorry. I just wanted to preface this. I'm doing schooling in the US. I do online school and I'm an aspiring mergers and acquisitions lawyer, come attorney. So attorney or CPA would be the first step for that. And
Okay.
then law school. So yeah.
Right. So depending on what it is, and you've already done your SATs, so what all have you got done? What is the bare essential that you need? And
Mm-hmm.
first, if tick all of that off. And because if it is a US application, you need essays, you need to make your activity list, you need some of that stuff. If give priority to what is absolutely essential and only come to the other stuff which is nice to have once you've cleared up what is absolutely necessary. So you're not too stressed when you're actually going through the process. I know Ramya has something to say. I can see it. So,
Actually, I know the students. So
oh
we
yeah,
had a
okay.
chat. She had reached out to us
Yeah.
through our WhatsApp. And uh, so I'm not entirely sure what you're asking. Diana is done with her. She has some wonderful acceptances in hand.
Oh,
She's
okay.
finished yeah,
There
she's
you
in her
go.
12th. But
Okay.
if the question, I guess, could you clarify the question there?
Yeah, that pathway I wanted to, the first thing was how I there were three parts to what I was trying to say. If that was a good way to divide my summer, because that's how I kind of did it until my 11th grade, because I was so busy with the SAT, so I can implement it forward for my brother, and I got the answer for that. The second was for this pathway CPA mergers and acquisitions law. I was wondering if like it would be better to study in the US or India, because I did not look into, yeah.
I
Where do you
think
want to practice?
Would you say?
Where do you want to practice?
Probably in the US.
So, if you want to be a CPA in the US, you should study it in the US.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
So, any program which requires anything that requires a license, it's best to do it in the country where you're going to practice it at.
Okay. And the last question is, I know I was a little late, so I didn't get to look at all of the slides. Is there a way I could see the slides and go through it once, just skim through it?
Yeah. It'll be on the website, and also it'll be on our website, right, Ramya?
which one? Sorry, I was trying to
The
answer some.
slides, the presentation, we'll put it on the
Yeah, so
website.
usually all our stuff is on our website pretty much. Give us like a day or two to upload it, and then yeah, it will be on the website.
Yeah.
Amrita ma'am, sorry, just as you were going to talk to somebody else. So for the parents here, Miss Amrita is a fellow counselor and a very accomplished one at that. So yes,
You
please,
didn't have
Amma.
to say that, right? So, but thanks. I thoroughly enjoyed, and I think took me back
Yeah,
to
I
having
want
this
to say
conversation with students. I want to share a personal experience. I think my nephew, who was very keen on design, spent in one summer. So he would create a lot, he would sketch a lot, create a lot, just do a lot of free flowing stuff till we came to the winter actually of grade 11, where I told him that, you'll need to make a portfolio. So we thought about, so I think that's when he then spent a lot of time trying to get in touch with his seniors to see what is picked out of the various pieces of work,
Yeah.
and how that is assembled as a portfolio.
Right.
So that was one thing which I felt was very good time invested. And then that was complemented by, like kids now. Okay, my nephew was lazy to write. So I told him you'll also have to write about each piece, right? So he had to also then see, okay, like he has an idea, you've conceptualized it, but he couldn't write more than 2 lines about. Yeah, just not someone who enjoyed writing.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think
No,
then
that's
that
an
was also,
important point. So for
yeah.
kids who are making portfolios, definitely 11th is the time that you have to just get it done, and it does take a lot of time. And for parents who may not be aware, even if you're not applying for creative programs, but you're applying to the US, many universities do allow you to still submit a portfolio if your child is creatively inclined in any field. And it does make sense to start putting your work together, to start putting all the stuff. If you're coding, then a GitHub account where you can put in everything that you've coded. Certain universities ask for engineering portfolios also. So what have you made? What experiments have you done? What innovations? And little pictures and explaining what you were thinking. That kind of stuff may be required. So that's definitely an important point, Amrita. Portfolio making should be an activity that the kids should be looking at in the summers. All right. Any other questions? Any other comments?
Yeah,
Any
I have a question.
Yeah,
My
sure.
sister's the one you just talked to, so we are both in online school in India right now.
Okay.
Although we're planning to go back, or we don't know technically. I'm a ninth grader and I want to I'm planning to go near business side, and I just don't know much internships because I don't know who to talk to about them. So I joined this call. So is there any good business internship or like law or engineering maybe too? Specifically like maybe electrical or um
Yeah, there are a
art.
few options, I agree. So one is, you can, which grade are you in?
Ninth.
I'm in ninth.
Okay, yeah. So this is if you look in our spreadsheet, so under experiential learning, and we're not picking out one or the other, they're all the same to us, but I know a couple of my students have done the grad circle one. They have tracks, and so does Supros. They have tracks on law, on data science, or on engineering, and with Supros, they keep changing their offerings every few weeks. So I think the internships are structured as 4-week internships. And the way these models work is, there's a payment. And then what they do is they have a mentor from the industry. So let's say you want to go into finance, they'll actually have somebody who is maybe like a mid-level manager at JP Morgan or, uh, whatever, like, Goldman Sachs and stuff. And that person will, each of the 4 weeks, there is a session with them where they talk about the industry, help you understand how things work, and also share a bit of their personal journey. And then there is this curated project, right? So for finance, it could be something like maybe you're doing a valuation of a company that another company wants to acquire. Or if it's law, a student of mine did something where they were doing intellectual property rights in that whole Kolhapuri Chappals versus Prada case, right? So as part of that, they help them, they give them material to read. And so the student gets some brief overview of, what does an investment banker actually do, right?
And at Build Up AI also does this.
Yes,
So we
sorry.
ever
So
have a
multiple ones.
Supros,
Yeah.
Build Up AI, Grad Circle, so everything in experiential. And then if you want a more in-person kind of an activity, Masters Union,
Mm.
SPJN are offering also programs which are in person where you meet other kids and do it like a group exercise. And they also do some very interesting stuff around that. So yes, there is a lot available. Even Flame is doing one in which they do expose you to different tracks and it is in person. So depending on what your choice is, whether you want to do in person, you want to do online, and what kind of program you want
I
to do.
prefer in person because I don't know what I'm doing yet. Like I just don't know what field I'm planning to go in. I just want to try out different
True.
field just to see what
Yeah, just
is
feel
up.
free to
Mainly,
scroll through the university options in the first sheet that was shared, and you'll be able to find a lot of options there also, which are all in person. And the Inner Campus Village thing is also in person, and they allow you to experience about 5 or 6 tracks over a period of 10 or 12 days, and that's in person in Bangalore,
all right,
right? So you can check any of those out.
all right. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, I missed. Where can we find your sheet?
So we will share it. Sorry,
In
Nikita.
the
If
WhatsApp
you
group,
are
na?
in our WhatsApp group, we will share it there. We can, the link to join our WhatsApp group is on our website, which is www.guidingteens.in. So we do encourage, if you are a parent, please do join it, because throughout the year we keep sharing a lot of good resources there, including on a monthly basis, upcoming competitions, sessions by universities, and this year, we will also be doing a lot more. So,
Yeah. And somebody seems to have shared the link to the
that's
sheet
also
also.
fine, but a plug to join our group as well.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Shall we close it then, Ramya?
Yes.
All
So thank
right.
you so much for joining us and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.